Good morning, everybody, and wish you a very, very happy new year. So, welcome, Manish. We are on episode number 5.
Yes, we are. A good Happy New Year to you too. I don't know. It's the 15th. Are we allowed to say that, or is it going past the statute of limitations for Happy New Year's?
No, we've got quite a few days left, and when it comes to
All right.
COVID, we just need to keep saying this again and again. That's all.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Very
Awesome,
true.
awesome, great. So to all our viewers, thank you for writing in and sending in that messages. So based on your inputs, we've actually kind of decide on what topics to talk about for the next 30 minutes. So Pureblu Spotlight is not about talking about the Pureblu features or anything. Though to talk about Pureblu, we are a tech company in the field of air conditioning and refrigeration. We have two product lines. One is a SaaS product, which is a cloud-based application for air conditioning and refrigeration service providers to use this tool to manage their business. The other product line, what we have, is a smart AMC. Smart AMC is if you want to save energy, 70% of your air conditioning bills make it part of that AMC. Now, 70% of those energy bills are from air conditioning. If you want to save that, you need to make sure they're very well maintained. So smart AMCs, when you take when these AMCs are maintained, we also give you a free IoT device, a meter, which is installed in your premises. And every day in the morning, you get a report like this, which shows you a graph of your electricity consumption over the last 24 hours, and also a comparison as to how you've been consuming energy. And mind you, as a tech platform, we manage these services, smart AMC services, over and above all the SaaS users. So all our SaaS users are actually our partners who are managing these services pan India, multi city. And that's the way we run our business. But as I said, Pure Blue Spotlight is not about talking about features, about our services. It's all about the three pillars of our company, which is productivity, accountability, and reliability, and how these three big pillars make a huge difference in running a small business in an HVAC services company. So today we're going to talk about how you can digitize the air conditioning services business. This was one of the topics that you've written to us about. So we'll take you through some of those simple tricks. And the most important thing is when I want to digitize my business, Manish, typically in our industry, the most common thing that everybody asks for is, uh, ERPs. That's the best thing. So let's go for an ERP because all of us are influenced by the principal companies whom we work with, which are large multinationals. So ERP. So why don't you tell us what's ERP all about, and does
Yeah.
it make great sense to deploy ERP for small businesses who are in the air conditioning service?
Right. So, I mean, that's a very good question. So, ERP really stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So, when you actually break down that word, and you see enterprise, resource, and planning, those three words really don't equate to an SME. But it makes sense if you're a very large company. Let's say whether you're a Hindalco, a Tata, or a Reliance, you actually need to look at it from a large enterprise. How do you do planning for all the different resources? So for them, ERP makes sense. But for an SME, I think what has happened is that term ERP just means digitization. That's what I feel. That's kind of what it means. So when I talk to an SME, or we talk to SMEs, or we hear from SMEs, and they see ERP, what they really mean is, hey, I want to get into the digital age. Can you please tell me a little bit about it, and what does that entail? So for me, when I look at ERP for an SME, and I'm saying ERP so people understand, but really what I mean is digitization. For them, it usually means, hey, who should I use for my email provider? How do I set up a website? How do I set up billing? All these different things. If I need to do quote generation, if I need to create a quote, what do I do? Do I use pencil and paper? Do I use Tally? Do I use Microsoft Excel? Do I use Google Sheets? These all different things. If I want to keep track of my inventory, what should I use? Again, paper, pencil. Should I use some sort of app? Should I use SAP? Because SAP is ERP. But when you look at SAP, that is not for an SME. SAP is really for very large organizations that can spend 10, 20, $30 million, probably even a month or even a year on it. So That's really what it comes down to, is how do I automate things? Another one, in fact, we had just, before we started this, we were talking about Google Forms. That's in a perfect example. The perfect example I'll give you is about, hiring people. So a lot of people just say, hey, send us your CVs or your resumes to HR at whatever the company name is, email address. So that's one way of doing it. Then you get all this information, then someone has to look at it. Someone has to take that information and put it into a Google Sheet or a Microsoft Excel sheet, things like that. But a better way to automate that process is using something called Google Forms. So you send a link to anybody and saying, hey, you know what, if you're looking at applying for a job with our company, fill out this Google form. And then that includes name, address, phone number, contact information, work experience, education, all of that. So that is the whole idea of automating. So that is really, when people say ERP for SMEs, it really means, you know what, I need to take my business into the digital age. So, and that's how we actually got connected, me and Ajit. So Ajit, when you were talking about digitizing your business, you told me you're not doing anything around ERP, because I think you've understood that. But tell me a little about how you kind of digitize Nova and WeatherWorks, and how you came up with Pureblu.
So, Manish, the biggest mistake that small businesses kind of make is, they want to automate the entire business completely.
Yeah.
So, absolutely not doing any automation, you want to do everything. Like, say, for example, you buy an attendance software. I find people saying that, can I find where my people are? Can I track where they are? Can I do what they're? Why do you want to track your person? I mean, now suddenly you manage your business. Now, why do you want to track them? Shouldn't you be focused more on the productivity rather than knowing where that guy is? It's all about, it's like that CCTV camera, right? You put cameras all around the place, and then you realize that nobody's even looking at it. And then nobody even knows that whether it is working, that's maintained, and all that crap. So the idea is first to take it out of your mind that, you need to digitize and automate the entire process of the business. No, the first thing is to break that business. And that's exactly what we did. What are the pain points that you have in the business? Why can't I just digitize that process? So typically in an air conditioning sales and services business, the areas that you have is, you have the sales portion, you have the services portions, and the projects portions. You have the account section. These are the main things. And how can I actually automate just these processes by itself? So one of the things that we first did is, taking the communications. You have emails, you have files, you have data. Like, we've got about 100 odd people in multiple cities, in multiple location offices, a lot of people on the field. So how do you actually get everybody to work together? And that's what we did. So we went on to the G Suite application, and that is a Google application. And all the communications became fabulous. It's really easy to go, easy to use. Like, some of the features that I really like, which were my pain points, is when an office staff, when an employee leaves the company, what about his data? What about his email ID? The next person he comes in, how do you do that handover? How do you make sure? In the G Suite application, it's so easy. You can just do a transfer, and there is no cost to it, right? This employee has left, the new employee has come, or to another employee, you've transferred the job. You just transfer the data. The old email ID, you don't pay for, it remains as an alias. Anybody sending an email to that automatically gets diverted to that. It is such an important thing for a small business to become much more easier, because we don't have huge HR departments. Our managers are all hands-on. So this becomes a kind of a little bit of a pain point. This, like, among the many features, I'm just trying to share one of those important features that makes such a huge, big difference. Second, hardware. We started giving laptops to all our employees. Now, we don't have very high-end laptops because everything is on the cloud. Everybody has a official SIM card. They've got data on it. Up to 25 GB is great data that's available. It doesn't cost more than $250 a month. And we just bought simple Chromebooks or simple laptops, not costing more than 25,000, 30,000 bucks. Everybody has it, and they are just able to access it from anywhere. Even if it's from work from home, they can do it. And here's the best part. Earlier, when you have, like, so many laptops and computers and in the office, you had the challenge of this, I need to buy the MS Office, I need to buy the Excel, you use a pirated version where there's no need. We don't have anything in us, we don't need to buy. It's all there online. So we don't even use MS Office now. So we just use it as part of the G Suite application, and it makes it so much easy to collaborate. and the working on the same file together. If I'm doing a large project and I need to work out the detailed costing of it, it's so easy. We have 3 members of our team all logging in. We just get onto a con call and we just decide on the costing sheet, working with the vendors, working with the suppliers, or working with the principal companies. It becomes much easier than these files going up and down. So one of the things that I want to know from you, Manish, is there is the G Suite application, and then there is the
Mhm.
Office 365 from Microsoft. So what's your call? Which one's better, G Suite or Office 365?
So, I mean, I hate to say, but it's what they always say: your mileage may vary, and it depends. But I'd say the
Yeah.
debate really is very similar to comparing a Mercedes versus a BMW, or a Honda versus a Hyundai. They're kind of in the same league, and it really is a personal preference. But one of the things is I'm a big fan of G Suite, which is now called Google Workplace, and I feel a lot of technology firms like Google Workplace because you can do a lot of sharing with Google Sheets, Google Docs, things like that, which can be done with Microsoft as well. But I really feel companies that have been around for many, many years, that have got that comfort factor with Microsoft Office, they kind of move towards Office 365 because they got the familiarity of using Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, and then they just normally, kind of go towards, Outlook for their email provider. So that's what I see with traditional businesses. Any new company, any new startup, most of them just go straight to Google Workplace, because one of the things you'll realize is, like, let's say you want to sign up for a new service. Let's say some new company's got some new product. Most likely they'll have a login with Google button. You most likely will never see a login with Outlook or login with Microsoft. So the thing is, when you have that login with Google, then that's just one less password, one less account that you have to set up, and that's one of the beauties of it. And it's great for a company such as Pureblu, because the reality is, if everyone is using that login with feature, and like you said, when an employee leaves, you only have to really shut down one account. You have to just shut down that main Google Workspace account, and then they can no longer log into anything else because they were using that login to get into everything else. So it also kind of reduces the amount of administrative time to kind of figure out where the employee was using different services and different sites and things like that. So that's really one of the reasons why I personally like Google Workspace. But like a workplace, like I said, it's a personal preference. But I think the bigger thing is, it's that whole idea of changing the way you think. Like you said, before you would share files. This is version 1.2.3 saved by Ajit. Then you've got 1.3.3.5 saved by Manish, and the files would go back and forth. When you started using these newer tools that are sharing online, you just share one spreadsheet link, and then people can edit, and everybody sees the information in real time. And I think that's the biggest benefit, is everything is in real time. The latest version is there. No one can accidentally say, Are, I deleted the file, because you can always go back and revert to the older version. And that's one of the beauties. And you can also see the history. You can always say, hey, who edited cell E7 and put in this wrong number? You can quickly find out. So that's one of the main reasons why I just love the online sharing of, whether it's Google Workplace or whether it's Office 365. The minute someone sends me an Excel file or a Google Doc, I'm just like, why would you send that to me? Why would you send me a Word document? Why would you send me an Excel file? Just send me the link to the actual online, and then we can do it in real time. And then if you get onto a video call, you can actually kind of see everyone's cell and where they are and what they're editing, and it's really amazing. So that is one on the Office suite. Another tool that I really enjoy using, and that kind of leads to collaboration, is Trello. So Trello is really based on the idea of Kanban boards and things like that. But tell me, how do you use Trello in your business?
So, Manish, Trello was a great discovery, right? So, I started using Trello because I have this habit. I always had it. I don't have it now. Where I sit, I have a whiteboard, and I kind of always used to keep playing with these post-its. All right. So everything that I want to remember, to-do list, or anything that I need to manage, I have these post-its. And then when there were too many post-its, I started kind of rearranging them. Oh, okay. So this
Yeah.
is the heading. All these post-its related to this, and goes down here. And then the problem that
Okay.
was, these posters is to keep writing notes on it and then realize there is no space left on the post-it. And these are the challenges. But it was a very effective tool, which was right in my office table, And that's how we used to keep managing, because we were handling multitask. Now, Trello was fabulous because when you look at it, what do you need in your sales? Okay. In a sales, you need to know what are your leads, what's happened to those leads, And if they have got converted, what is the status of that execution? Has the payment come in? And if it has not got converted, why it did not get converted? That's about it. Now you can create funnels, number of leads, percentages. Really, I don't need that. I just need to keep a tab of what is happening. So is the case with my projects business. I have projects whereby we have multiple projects. We need to know at any given point of time what is the status of these projects. If it's a very large project, say for example, we're doing a very large hotel project which is going to run over 1.5 2 years, then there are many aspects of the projects that I need to keep a tab of. So what happens with Trello is I can create a one single board, right? It's a digital board,
Yep.
and I can create sections. So leads, I have one section. Then I have WIP. Then I have payment outstanding. And then there is all the ones which have orders lost. That's it, simple. And then for
Mhm.
every one, I create a card. All right. And then that card is like a post-it. And you can keep moving these post-its from each section to another section. And it's got endless content in that, It's got a chat mode. So on a specific thing, I need to talk to somebody on that specific subject of a sub-subject. I can actually go there and start chatting with other people, and I can decide who can be part of that board. That makes collaborative working so easy. So it makes it so easy for all of us to use Trello. And we've been using Trello even at Pureblu for all our product development, new ideas, and so what are the features that you really like about Trello? Because that is something that we use efficiently, not just in my air conditioning business, but even for the IT company like Pureblu, we've been doing it for a lot of product development and
Yeah.
management. So what are the things that you like about it?
So I actually use Trello even for my personal life. So I've got different
Yeah.
lists, I've got different projects, kind of keep track of things. So one of the things that I like to keep track of is all the various projects that I'm working on. So I have a Trello board just for that. But one of the main things that I like Trello, I mean, of course, that is for my personal use, but in a work environment is really the transparency, because you really know what task is assigned to who, what they're working on. You can leave a comment, you can find out how they respond, and all of it's clearly laid out. It's all very transparent. And that whole idea of lists, that's so the fact that you were using this before the whole list, that actually, I'm guessing you probably know, came from a Japanese it actually came from Toyota. It's called Kanban boards, and it's a very part of that whole 80s TQM, total quality management, Japanese way of management. And one of those outcomes is something called Kanban boards, where you have these various lists and people can look up at the list and see where things are in progress. So you could look at a vehicle and say, hey, this vehicle is now in the outer, if things are happening on the outer of the vehicle, then it moves into the inner, then it moves into the electronics. And so that's the same thing that we use in other organizations. Is you've got these different lists. So first list would be new incoming lead. Then you assign it to a sales rep. Then you kind of have the different comments. Then you can put it into whether it's closed or it's still, being worked on. So that's one of the things I love, is the transparency of it, because everybody can see everything. There's really nowhere to hide. But one of the best things is, of course, now everyone's mobile. No one's really sitting in, in an office with a big desktop or a big, whiteboard with all that information. Is they've got a really good mobile app, and you can quickly slide from list to list. You can see what's happening. You get all the notifications while you're on the move. And for me, that's one of the biggest things, is that mobile interface is just too good. And it really kind of keeps you up to date on where things are. And I think that's more than anything else, is just that mobility, because everyone is now very mobile. And, the transparency is the second big thing for me. So, like I said, that is one of the things that I love about Trello, is it gives you the idea of, how to manage all those things. But, so tell me, you were thinking of developing a solution for Pureblu, and I'm guessing it probably kind of originated from this idea of a Kanban board. But tell me more about how you came up with the idea for Pureblu.
So, one needs to be very honest with you. I'm an air conditioning guy, right? I understand this business very well. That's what I've been doing for the past 20, 25 years. We scaled up a small business, we made it pretty large. I never wanted to set up an IT company. I was trying to solve my problem. So, when it came to services, you see, we have a very large field team, multi-locational, complex, handling about 200 to 250 calls a day. AMC, annual maintenance contracts, is a big revenue business for us. You need to make sure the renewals happen. Customers retention is all about the service experience. And we were struggling because we had an 20-year-old data management software. Okay, we were just managing the data. That's it. But we were not managing and controlling the process. So I started stepping out to say that, hey, listen, can I find a great software which can help me solve my problem? And I just couldn't. There are a lot of generic softwares available. Field management, there are plenty of them available, but nothing that kind of, it's almost coming to only 70%, 80% of my requirement. So what I did is I started reaching out to colleagues in my industry and I started asking them. You know what everyone told me? 100% of them told me that, dude, if you find one, please tell me. Okay. Since you're
Okay.
already out looking for one, if you find one, please tell me. Now, that's an opportunity, right? So I said, hey, why don't I build one for myself? Now, earlier it was all about why don't I build for myself? So that gives you a cutting edge over your competition. That's the whole approach it was.
Of
And I
course.
realized, no, I'm going the wrong path because I wanted to build something really world class. Now, for a small company like mine, I wouldn't be able to maintain that such huge software. So I said, hey, why not I take this problem of mine and while it's an industry problem, why don't I solve the entire industry's problem? Took that problem as an opportunity and converted into a company by itself. And that's how 3 years ago we started and we got connected and we built this beautiful platform. And there are so many of these companies that come. And it's a paperless operation. It controls the process. It's easy to use.
Yeah.
You don't have like a technician app that we have. Technicians don't have to fill papers. They don't have to write details of the machines. They don't have to write details of the customers. They're all there in that system. A call goes to him. It is he just enters what work he's done, he submits it, and it goes.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Even the customer gets a real-time update, right? So if you literally look at it, like when we thought of building Pureblu, one of the things that I've been fascinated about is this open kitchen restaurants, where your customer walks in and he can see everything, what's happening real time. And that brings in that pressure for everybody in the environment, that listen, my customer is watching, my processes are in place, so we built Pureblu with that idea. Can you build an entire process where you have to do step one, only then can you go to the step two? And at every step, your customer is watching you real time. And so you get your recognition because you're doing great work. And if you screw up, your customer is going to pull you up. And that's great. That makes sure that the process is in place. And that's how Pureblu got made up. And today, we've got almost 10 cities. We've got so many companies using our Pureblu platform, and it's dedicated to the air conditioning industry. And I guess that's how Pureblu came up across, and that's today how it is. So we use a complete services platform on Pureblu. And the other thing that I want to know is from you is the last section in the business that you have is accounting, right? What do you think about
Yeah.
Tally? What do you think about Tally? Because that's what everyone, all the MSMEs use Tally. That's the easiest one.
Of
Started from
course.
pirated,
Yeah.
at least now they started paying for it. So what do you think about
Yeah.
Tally?
Yeah. So before I get to Tally real quick, I just want to talk about, how you said your journey for Pureblu. It is very true. And I think that's what's interesting. People talk about, the next decade in India or the previous 5 years. It's all technology driven. And a lot of it, I think, was driven by the fact that Geo came on the spot. So, very cheap internet access for everybody. And now the rollout of UPI for payments, all of that is just really helping. But more than anything, the idea is, a country like India, we have many people and we need to automate and digitize everything as much as we can. And I think you've identified, what I call product market fit. You've identified a pain point and now you're going after it. And I think that is exactly what everybody's trying to do and try to figure out how to, in all of their industries, how can we solve these problems and really get everything on a digital platform. And it also helps because then you can just get things going much quicker, much faster. And then you can start looking at the data and understanding, of where the pain points are. How can you optimize? How can you make things better? So that is, I think it's definitely an achievement for you to kind of, think of this many years ago and kind of act upon it. But to get to your question around Tally, what can I say? Tally is, I always call it's the 800-pound gorilla in the market. I think that is wrong. It is the market. There is nothing else out there for accounting in India. And if you think there is, please let me know. I doubt it. So I had started another company many years ago called mProfit, which is a portfolio management software. And we manage people's investments. And about a couple years into the journey, we said, hey, let's take on Tally. So we added an accounting piece to our software, thinking that we were going to take over Tally. Guess what? Very few people use it. And the insights I got from it really kind of realized why Tally is where it is today. So, example, let's say you start a new small SME today, you start a business and you're starting to hire people, so you'll get a sales people, you get some salespeople, you'll get some, data operators, computer operators, and then you need to get someone to run your books, your accounting, So what do? You have two options. One is you use some new software out there. Okay, great. Looks amazing. Looks very easy to use. Fine, you start using it, but obviously you're not going to use it. You're going to have to hire someone to use it. So then you put out an ad saying, hey, we're using XYZ software for accounting. Please come. Guess what? Nobody will respond to that ad. So the reality is, if you start using Tally and you put out that same ad, you will have probably hundreds of people apply for that same position. So they have built a amazing platform in that they've locked out all the competitors. And the funny thing is, it actually helped them that the software got pirated early on. I'm sure they lost a lot of revenue early on. And I'm sure it was by sheer luck, because I'm sure they tried to stop the pirating as much as they could, but it just kind of happened. It happened. And now I'm sure it's 95% of the industry uses Tally. In fact, I think Tata's tried to launch an accounting software in India, and it failed miserably. Can you imagine the house of Tata's launching something? Of course, they've got brand recognition, they've got trusted recognition, they've got money, they've got everything, but yet it failed, because Tally really is what everybody uses, and more importantly, it's what SMEs use. So now imagine you're an SME, you go from an SME to a larger company, you'll still use Tally. Your employees leave, they'll go to other places, so that that whole ecosystem is being built. And do I think it can be beat? I thought for a brief period it could be beat, but I feel now you kind of have to just go with the flow. But I think the really good thing is, so the company was started by Bharat Goenka, and I believe now his son is taking over, or has taken over. And, I've had conversations with him in the past, and they really are trying to, be cloud first, digital first, and be a part of the entire ecosystem, and much better. So they want to get away from the fact that it's, an MS-DOS or a Windows-based system. They want to move everything into the cloud. They're doing a lot of collaboration with the GST offices. So I think it's great. I think they've come a long way in that they're trying to be much more digital thinking and much more forward thinking. And I think that's great. And do I think anybody can come and try to beat them? I have seen many startups come and go, and a couple of them based in Bombay, where they said, we're going to take on Tally. That software is crap. Nobody likes it. That may be the truth, but the reality is everybody uses it. And all those companies that have tried to go after them, they've all pivoted or they've done something different. And Profit is a perfect example. We thought we would have that accounting piece. And in the end, I really think, when I look at the analytics of our software, maybe only 1% use it. And they only use it for one single reason, is just to really compute their capital gains. But they're not going to put all of their company books in Profit accounting, because it's just too difficult. More importantly, if you ever, go to your CA, he's only using Tally. If you do anything with an income tax audit, they're going to want the Tally files. They're not going to want any other software. So that's kind of where I feel Tally is. And that's all I can say. It's very, very tough to really beat Tally. So I think now we're kind of closing in on our 30-minute mark, and so I'm going to leave it to you to kind of sum up our discussion on where the digital tools are for SMEs.
So yeah, Manish. So I strongly believe for sales and services business, you don't need to go spend that kind of money on ERPs and the cost of implementation and everything. What we do is, for business communications, your files, your emails, and for a collaborator working within your team, use either the G Suite. We use the G Suite application from Google. It's inexpensive. It works brilliant. For your sales and project management, use Trello. You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Trello is free. You don't have to pay for it. Of course, they've got a paid version. You can use it for free. So there's Trello that's available. Use it. It's effective, efficient. It's fantastic. You can manage it. Then, of course, Tally is there for accounting. Like how Manish explained, that's the easiest. You can get for small businesses, you don't have a challenge with people. Use Tally. Use more features of the Tally rather than just the accounting. So you can get a lot of MIS information from them. So, step into that world and discover more out of Tally and get your pound of flesh for your business from there. And last, of course, for services, it's all about Pureblu. And Pureblu is the remarkable system. And Manish, in the entire 2 years of the pandemic, do you know, thanks to this entire digitization, which we had embarked on about 4 years ago, we had to shut down only for 1 month. That is a month of
Wow.
April.
Right.
Starting May, we were back up and running. We were providing services and we were available there for our clients. And none of the offices were open, and we had everybody working out of home. And that's what actually did the trick for us. And that's low cost. So, from my whole experience, it's important that you keep the digitization process simple, low cost, go out and explore. Only keep one thing in mind as the business owner: you got to stay at the top of this, whether it's whatever platform you use. So you
Yeah.
need to actually make sure the reviews are taken care of, and you know that the process is followed. And the process following is very simple: review every month, make sure everything is updated before the meeting, and make sure that your people are following it. You insist on it. You can't go wrong, and it's inexpensive. You can digitize, and you can keep your costs low, increase your efficiency. So that's all about it. So you have your accountability, you have your productivity, you have your reliability at a very low cost to run an efficient air conditioning and sales and services business. So that's for our session today. And we will be back next month on 12th of Feb, 11 a.m. But yeah, we don't mind pushing a little bit of our numbers. So if you are in the air conditioning and services business, that's the number on the screen. Call us, and we will tell you how you can digitize and use Pureblu for a business. But hey, if you are using an air conditioner, which I guess all of us do, then reduce your energy bills by signing up for Smart AMC. That's the number that you can call on, and we will send you the details for the Smart AMC. Drop an email or call us on this number, and our team could just take over. And to all our viewers, thank you so much for this. And I have dropped a message within the comment section. So all the tools that we've spoken about, there is a detailed presentation. All you have to do is you have to go to our YouTube channel, and you have to look for the playlist called as Work from Home. On this, there is an entire detailed presentation of how to use these tools and how to implement them in your company. So thank you very much for being with us here. Thanks, Manish. Fantastic session. We've
Thanks.
been able to share some good information, and we've had a lot of
Yes,
viewers
definitely.
today. So across all three
Good,
channels,
good.
we've had quite a few viewers. So I guess so. Please write to us and tell us what you want to hear us about it, and we will get back to you on the 12th of Feb with another 30-minute session on Pureblu Spotlight. Thank you very much. See
Take
you
care,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. See you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.